This is part 3 of the reading of the unredacted hearing from January 23rd for the Idaho 4 murders case. If you have not seen parts 1 and 2, please go look down below. Where we left off, Ann Taylor had just had pain on the stand, and now she has a Rylene Nowlin. So let's get into it. Who is Rylene Nowlin? She's a forensic lab manager, ISP for the Idaho State Police Forensic Services Lab in Meridian, Idaho. She's been working there since 2002. Education, she was first hired as forensic scientist's bio-DNA unit with them. And then she says, required credentials, you need a biology type of degree, coursework in genetics, molecular biology, biochemistry, and statistics. She completed ISP bioscreening and DNA analysis special training and DNA database analysis special training. And she's done hundreds of continued education over the years. She is a member of the following, I believe it says Northeast Association of Forensic Scientists, American Association for Forensic Scientists, and American Society of Crime Lab Directors. Anne asked her if she was a collaborative member. I looked that up. It just means someone who actually contributes to the societies that they're into, and she said yes. She's a National Tech and Validation Implementation Collaborative. Lab management generates ideas, best practices, and guidelines for new tech converging into forensics. Forensic Investigative Genealogy. They refer to it as FIGG, or FIG is what they like the acronym for Forensic Investigative Genetic Genealogy. So if I say FIG going forward, you know what I mean. FIG serves as a resource for lab managers, not experts in it, to use as a resource. Another example is firearms. She went on to talk about how firearms is used the same in a particular way. Best practices, recommended based on current knowledge in the field. They don't come up with standards for different fields. Does your lab have standards, procedures, and protocols? She explained that their lab has analytic methods and quality system, and clarified, is it the same thing as procedures and protocols? And she said yes. And she said, what does that mean to you? It means an accredited lab, so there are certain standards they have to meet, certain quality principles and analytic methods for each discipline. And there's additional for FBI quality assurance for case work labs and forensic databasing labs. Anne asked, is this done so work can be duplicated and get the same result? And she said yes. She went on to explain that their lab is in participation with the National DNA Index System, or also known as CODIS, which stands for the Combined DNA Index System, and the FBI runs this system. It has additional standards that they must meet. So what are the standards? Their classification of classes an analyst needs to take, validation study, inclusions, facilities control, and gamut of testing. What is a validation study? A new chemistry, new instrument, new procedure, online, in lab. They perform a study to ensure that the chemistry, instrument, or procedure is working and receiving expected results. They have to do this because DNA, the section that has to do with DNA, with CODIS, the rest of the lab, because of the accreditation standards. So one part is for CODIS, for the DNA section, they have these standards, and the other is for their accreditation for the rest of the lab. She explained that CODIS is the National DNA Database. It has 3 levels. It has a local level, which is like the county sheriff's office, police departments. Then it has the state level, which is the state lab and public labs only, and then the national level. Now, she went on to explain that the lab that she works at, the forensic labs in Meridian, it's the only DNA lab in the state. And you kind of wonder why. I feel we should have more than one, but okay. Forensic index means profiles from items of evidences, offender index of those convicted of qualifying offense in your state. Okay, so these are the different indexes within CODIS, and she's explaining each one. So those are 2, and then there's an arrestee index, and then there's a missing person index and a remains index. And she said there's different types of DNA profiles, and what goes into CODIS is an STR, or short tandem repeat. So now she's going to go in to explain what DNA is. She said it's a substance found in the cells of your body, a blueprint, tells our bodies what form to take and how to function. Between individuals, 99% are the same. Our bodies function in the same way. Now, STRs, this is really important because this is what's related to the knife sheath for Brian, okay? So we need to understand what they're testing, why they're testing it, and what they actually got, and how they potentially violated his rights, okay? So STRs are targeting that less than 1% that makes us different. Exception is the identical twins. And it basically tells if someone is male or female, and that's it. Now, Anne starts to go into what an SNP profile is. S is in Sam, N is in Nancy, P is in Paul. SNP, okay? Do you know what that is? Yes. And she explains that it's a single nucleotide polymorphism. SCR is multiple repeating nucleotides, a specific one we are looking for, okay? So, Anne tries to clarify because this witness claims that she's not an expert in this, and then the state, or Nye, objects, and the judge allows it as basic knowledge, and he said he will keep in mind if the defense tries to use her testimony as fact going forward, because she disclaimed that she's not an expert. Anne asked if SNP is a closer look at a person's genome. She explained that STRs have 13 to 25 plus locations that they look at, and SNP has a minimum of 10,000. So this equates to more information about a human. She mentioned the indexes that she mentioned before with CODIS, right? But then she really honed in on one, the forensic index. Now, the forensic index is where profiles generated from items of evidence can be uploaded. Rules for uploading. This is what she said. A lot of them were kind of confusing, so I'm just going to read them to you. Cannot match someone known to be a victim of a crime. Cannot match someone whose DNA should be in a place outside of a crime being committed. Cannot be anything directly from a suspect where assume their DNA would be present. Must be related to a crime, and must be believed to be from a perpetrator of that crime. Anne asked, would you create a profile even if it's not going to be running CODIS? And she said yes. She's the manager of the lab, but not directly involved in the processing, and she didn't go to the residence. Aware of, meaning the 1122 King Road residence, aware of a lot of evidence submitted but not detailed on the top of her head. Aware of testing done related to this case, and Anne asked about an unknown male A, yes, and she knew about that. And the unknown male A is the sheath. Now we're at page 49 of this document, so if you'd like to follow along, you're more than willing to read through it yourself. It's 175 pages, but I'm going to keep going until my time runs out, but I'm almost there. I'm going to finish this page, and that's it. Unknown male B, she talked about, and she said she doesn't recall, tried to cite what she heard in testimony. So she tried to repeat what Anne had talked about previously in testimony. She must be sitting in the gallery. And Anne said, only to what your knowledge is, please. Don't repeat what you heard. And I'm surprised a professional would do that. But she says, are you aware of IgG? Yes. What role did you have? Signing memorandum of understanding, making sure all profiles receives, and she signs it, meaning the profiles from the police, prosecutor, and ISP. When received preliminary report, she looked it over, ensured all pieces present, authorized payment of the invoice for that testing. I'll have to do the next part and continue on. I'm just going to try to do as much as I can. So that was pretty much pages 40 through 50. We're going to keep going. So if you guys want to follow this is about the Idaho 4 Moscow murders, the redacted hearing that happened on January 23rd. It became unredacted, so I'm now trying to read it and summarize it for you. Make sure you follow and subscribe, not only here, but my YouTube as well. And I appreciate you guys following. Thanks so much. Bye.